Let's say China.
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 China. China.
China.
There are no storm movers, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
Go over to China. China.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump's face, tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Yes. Hello, and welcome. I am James Andrews, and you are listening to So This Happened, the only news you need if you have or have ever had a mother. And that is just about everybody, with perhaps the exception of Donald Trump and possibly Paul Ryan. It is Friday, the 6th of April, 2018, and a massive welcome to everybody on what is a very special edition of So This Happened. I didn't realise it was a very special edition of So This Happened until somebody on our Facebook page pointed out that in fact this is today the 1 year anniversary of So This Happened. Can you believe that? 1 year we've been doing that. So if you have been listening to me from the beginning, well, firstly, I don't know how you did that. You have a lot of patience. But secondly, massive thank you. Brilliant. If you're a new listener, welcome as well. You are just as important. Okay, you're not as important as those that have been listening to it since day one. I'm just being very honest here, but you are very important, and I do appreciate you listening now. I'm just saying you're not as important as the one person who has been listening to me since day one. He or she, very important. But there we go, 1 year, and it has been an absolutely crazy year, hasn't it? So many things have happened. We're not going to recap them, because if you want to do that, you can just go to the website, sothishappensshow.com, and listen to the last however many episodes there are, 170 something. I think, 170? This is 175 now, so yeah, 174 episodes, not including this. Oh, Jesus, you know what I'm trying to say, okay? It's going to be one of those days, isn't it? And I did just want to mention quickly, and I know I mention this at the beginning of every episode, and you're probably getting bored of me saying it, but it's important to say. So This Happened can still be here next year and celebrate our second birthday, we need some help from you guys, from the listeners. The most important thing you can do is write a review. Give us a 5-star rating, write a nice little review, particularly on Apple Podcasts. That's how podcasts get recognised and spread about so more and more people can listen to it. And I like reading them as well. It's always cool. And if you feel like you wish to support the show, you can always do that by becoming a patron of the show. You can do that from the website, sothishappensshow.com. Click on the support tab, and it'll give you a link to our Patreon page where you can give some money to the show so we can keep things rolling. And speaking of rolling, last Sunday, Easter Sunday, was the annual Easter egg roll at the White House. Donald Trump was there with Melania, who didn't look massively happy to be there, and a massive bunny. It was a man in a bunny, well, it might have been a woman, a man or a woman, a person in a bunny suit standing next to him. It looked really ridiculous. Donald Trump, not the bunny. The bunny was quite cool, actually, but there's Donald Trump, and he gave what I think can only be described as the most inappropriate talk to children ever, since he gave that sex talk to young Donnie all those years ago. You can imagine that one, can't you? All right, Don, I've got something to tell you. Sit right down on that couch and watch this. Yeah, Donnie's just staring at the screen. Oh, Dad, this Stormy's very talented, isn't she? Goodness. Yes, she is very talented, Donnie, but when you meet her, show some respect and call her Ms. Daniels if you would. Oh, wow. Am I going to get to meet her, Dad? You will if I play my cards right, son. You will if I play my cards right. And so, that talk notwithstanding, what Donald Trump said to the children on Sunday was, Well, I'm going to play it for you so you can listen yourself. There are a few key things to listen for. First, he thanks Melania, who is standing there, literally looking like a statue. You can sort of read her mind. She's going, "You son of a bitch, you fucking son of a... I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you so fucking much. I hate you. That actually is what she was thinking. I'm pretty certain of it. He then goes on to tell the children that the place he lives doesn't have a name. It does have a name, but to Donald Trump, it does not have a name. And then he breaks into a speech on military spending. This is to children, talking about military spending. People, young people, who shouldn't even know about the military and threats and violence. But Don decides that it's a good time to talk to them about military spending, because nothing says Easter like military spending.
Welcome to the 2018 White House Easter egg roll. So many people, it was supposed to be pouring, the weather. It was supposed to be very rainy and nasty and cold and windy. And look what we have. Perfect weather. Perfect weather. Beautiful weather. Thank you all for being here, folks. Thank you all. I want to really thank the First Lady, Melania, who has done an incredible job. She worked so hard on this event, and so I want to thank you. That's beautiful. Also, I want to thank the White House Historical Association and all of the people that worked so hard with Melania, with everybody, to keep this incredible house or building or whatever you want to call it, because there really is no name for it. It is special. And we keep it in tip-top shape. We call it sometimes tippy-top shape, and it's a great, great place. It's an honor to have everybody on behalf of the Trump family, many of whom are with us right here in the audience. I just want to thank you. This is a special year. Our country is doing great. You look at the economy, you look at what's happening. Nothing's ever easy, but we have never had an economy like we have right now. And we're going to make it bigger and better and stronger. Our military is now at a level, will soon be at a level that it's never been before. It's, you see what's happening, and you see what's happening with funding. The funding of our military was so important, and so many military people are with us today. So just think of $700 billion, because that's all going into our military this year. So I want to thank you all for being here. The band, unbelievable. I love you people. I hear them a lot. They're as talented as anybody and any players anywhere. So thank you very much. And now I'm going to come down and we're going to watch this roll. Thank you all and have a great time. Thank you. Happy Easter. Thank you very much.
So there it is. Now, yeah, if you haven't seen it, you honestly just do yourself a favour. Go to YouTube, type in Donald Trump Easter egg roll speech. It will pop right up and watch it, because there are so many priceless moments. Mainly with the bunny. The bunny is spectacular. It's brilliant, brilliant. The one part there when he starts talking about the military, and it's very clear to everybody that it's not really an appropriate topic to bring up to children, especially on Easter. Sort of Melania staring out, and when he starts talking about military, she sort of looks at him going, "Oh, you fucking idiot, what are you doing?" And then, in a brilliant moment, the bunny mirrors Melania, so she's staring daggers at him, just going, "What are you talking about?" And the bunny, whose face, it's a mask, but it is in an expression of sort of, "Huh? What? The mouth's open, huh?" It sort of very slowly just turns to look at Donald Trump when he starts talking about the military, and that right there sums up the entire speech. Oh, that bunny was magic. Magic. And the only thing that could possibly have made it any better was if at the end of the speech the bunny had just turned to the crowd, put its hands up, lifted off the mask, and there was Mike Pence. "Hey, I'm the VP, Bunny Man." That would have sealed the deal as the best television of the year. It didn't happen. It was still pretty great. Go watch it. Honestly, it's comedy gold. And now, in a completely unrelated topic, doctors are urging us to ditch using toilet paper. This may be a new low for So This Happened, literally talking about wiping shit, but I look on this as a public health announcement, And also, some of the quotes are this side of absolutely fantastic. Toilet paper, a shopping list staple. We buy it every single week, at least in the West. But doctors are now saying that it's not the best thing to use. And now is time for one of those excellent quotes I mentioned. This comes from the author Rose George, who wrote the book The Big Necessity, which is a story of human waste and why it matters. She said, and I quote, "I find it rather baffling that millions of people are walking around with dirty anuses while thinking they are clean. Toilet paper moves shit, but doesn't remove it." And I realise that most of you are now sitting there going, oh shit, oh god, I feel dirty now. I actually feel dirty. And of course you may be thinking, well, James, we'll just start using bidets as they do in Asia and certain places in Europe. Well, bidets are slightly better than toilet paper, apparently. They're certainly more environmentally friendly than the toilet paper rolls, but water also does not do a very good job of removing shit. Honestly, this is information, I didn't think this up. Doctors actually sat down and thought about this, and the conclusion that they came to was that the best way to remove unwanted debris from your bottom is baby wipes. Simple baby wipes. They are already very popular amongst the Hollywood and the celebrity crowd. The rapper and singer will.i.am once said that, "Here's proof on why people should have baby wipes." And then he went on to explain, and this is another one of those fantastically disgusting but great quotes. He said, "Get some chocolate, wipe it on a wooden floor, and then try to get it up with some dry paper towels. You're going to get chocolate in the cracks." Now honestly, if that happened in my house, a dog would probably run up and lick the chocolate, which I know dogs aren't supposed to eat chocolate, but sometimes they'll just run up and lick it. Now I'm not suggesting in any way, shape or form that you should use a dog for your toilet businesses. That's disgusting. I'm just telling you that if that happened in my house, a dog would probably lick the chocolate up before I had time to wipe it away with a paper towel. And I realise that we are now definitely straying into TMI territory. That's too much information. A kid told me that the other day. TMI. It's kind of like LOL. TMI. But apparently it's not just cleanliness that doctors are concerned with. And in fact, the doctors don't really care that much about that. That's more of a celebrity thing. But the doctors, their concern with toilet paper is that if you use toilet paper aggressively, and this is very hard, isn't it? Because I don't know what is using toilet paper aggressively. I was thinking about it. I was like, God, do I use toilet paper aggressively? I don't know, because I don't have anything to compare it with. I've never watched anybody else wipe their bottom. So I can't go, wow, yeah, look at that. He's definitely more gentle than I am. Or alternatively, wow, look at that. Fucking hell, he's ripping it to pieces. Wow, that's some aggressive toilet paper use. But anyway, if you use toilet paper aggressively, it can cause painful anal fissures. And I'm not sure the doctors needed to include the word painful. I think just, it may cause anal fissures. That's enough for me to say, right, give me the baby wipes. And it gets worse because apparently these anal fissures, which can be caused by aggressively toilet paper wiping, can take up to 12 weeks to heal and sometimes become hemorrhoids. And another danger of toilet paper is a urinary tract infection. That is a big possibility when you use toilet paper. So really, the thing here is get a bidet, right? Or get some baby wipes and start using those. And please, for God's sake, be gentle when you wipe. That should actually be a slogan, shouldn't it, on the baby wipes. Maybe we'll come up with a "So This Happened" baby wipes. Actually, it's great. It's "So This Happened, now you need baby wipes." And our slogan will be, please, wipe gently. Love it. And I bet 15 minutes ago, you did not think you would be listening to stories about toilet paper damage. You see, you never know. It's a beautiful world, isn't it? You just never know what is around the corner. We went from Donald Trump to wiping up shit. And now, in another completely different turn, we're going to go to Phoenix in Arizona, where a 40-year-old mother, Sharon Dobbins, was arrested on Saturday. You know, when you were younger and you went to church with your parents. If you did that, I'm pretty sure they would have said, don't fall asleep in church because that's really rude. Just stay awake. Whatever you have to do, pinch yourself, whatever. Just stay awake. Mrs. Dobbins' son did not heed that advice, and on Saturday in an Easter service, he nodded off. Maybe he had a late Friday night, maybe what the priest was talking about was boring. Either way, the kid fell asleep, so his mother took it upon herself to wake him up. Now, you would think that maybe if you see your son there going, oh, he's asleep, just give him a little elbow maybe pinch his leg, say, hey, wake up, listen to what he's saying, it's very important. No, Mrs. Dobbins used the old phrase, what would Jesus do? And she thought about it for a few minutes and decided that, in fact, what Jesus would do is taser somebody. True story, she tasered her 17-year-old son. He nodded off, she goes, fuck it, he's asleep again, I warned him. She takes a taser out of her purse, sticks it on his leg and wakes him up. Mrs. Dobbins was arrested afterwards. Now she claims to the police that she only sparked the taser and didn't actually use it on her son, although witnesses in the church said, no, she definitely tased him. Even her son said, yes, my mother did tase me, but I don't want to testify against her. Well, mate, I wouldn't want to testify against her either. Jesus, she tased you for falling asleep in church. What is she going to do if you testify against her? He did, however, complain about a pain in his leg where there were 2 bumps where the taser had made contact with his skin. Mrs. Dobbins was arrested on 1 count of child abuse, and she was later reported from jail on condition that she would not initiate any contact with the arresting officer or possess any weapons, including a taser. She's due back in court on April 16th. Shortly thereafter, she'll be entered into the Mother of the Year contest, where I suspect she will win. And now we're going to switch gear again completely and talk about the economy. Don't nod off just yet. I don't have a taser or anything. I'm not going to wake you up that way, but this is important. Donald Trump has continually stressed since he became president and before that under him jobs would just keep growing and growing and growing and everybody would be working and it would be fantastic. Unfortunately, in the jobs report for March of this year, it shows that only 103,000 new jobs have been added to the US economy. That is a huge shift from February, where 313,000 new jobs were added. Now, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that the reason February was so high was because there were unseasonably warm temperatures, which really gained a lot of jobs in the hospitality and the construction industries, where people were able to get out and work in a month that traditionally they haven't been able to do. So that may have explained the spike in February, but it does not explain the massive dip last month in March. A number of analysts are concerned that this may be a trend that we continue to see over the next few months. And those concerns are even more realized after President Trump announced last Thursday that he planned to impose $100 billion of additional tariffs on Chinese imports, which has now led people to say that risks appear to be rising in both the short and the long term, and that if the $100 billion of additional tariffs are fully implemented, that they would have the potential to raise inflation risks, which, as we know, is not a good thing for people trying to find work. So is it then that we are on the eve of a trade war with China? Many people believe so, and Donald Trump's announcement on Thursday of an additional $100 billion on tariffs to China make it even more likely. And if you will just indulge me for just a moment, let's have a look at this whole Chinese tariff business. As of right now, the US imposed $50 billion worth of tariffs on Chinese goods imported to the country. Donald Trump's additional $100 billion will bring that total to, yes, $150 billion. It's not rocket science, it's really simple mathematics. Now, China's Ministry of Commerce responded saying that China would not hesitate to pay any price to defend its interests. But this is not China just rolling over and saying, okay, yeah, we'll just pay you the extra $100 billion, it's fine, just keep letting us import stuff to your country, please. No, they didn't do that, and which may have come as a bit of a surprise to the Trump administration, but the Chinese did a tit-for-tat move. They have suggested that they will put tariffs on 106 key US products that are imported into China. The Ministry of Commerce went on to say that we do not want to fight, but we are not afraid to fight a trade war. And in a true Donald Trump moment, when China said, yeah, okay, you can do that, we'll pay it, but we're also going to increase tariffs on you guys, tit for tat, that's how we do this. Donald Trump then said that this retaliation by Beijing was unfair. Really, Donald? You say, I'm going to put $100 billion tariffs on you guys, but if you put a single penny on us, that's unfair. Why are you doing that to us? Why? That's not fair. Come on, guys. And it also is a bit weird why Donald Trump is doing this, because he doesn't really seem to have much support for this at home. A number of Republicans have been less than thrilled with this. They've warned that if these tariffs are implemented, it will hurt Americans and cost them their jobs. They also said that relationships that the US has with other big importers may also be damaged by this, because obviously, right, you're going to look at it and say, well, wait a second, they just slapped all those tariffs on China, what's to stop them from doing that to us? Let's slow up a little bit on this one. In fact, two retail giants, Walmart and Target, have asked Donald Trump to carefully consider the impact the tariffs would have on consumer prices and American families. That makes sense for Walmart, right? Because everything they sell is made in China. Literally everything. You go to Walmart, you buy a pair of socks, shoes, jeans, whatever you're buying, it's all made in China. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that, wait a second, if there's tariffs put on everything, we're going to have to charge more for our product, and all of a sudden Walmart is not the cheap place to shop anymore. It's expensive as hell because we have to pay all these extra tariffs now. And ironically, where this trade war might hit hardest is the areas that Donald Trump is always saying he wants to help out and find jobs for. That's rural America. It is suspected that these tariffs would hurt soybean farmers the most. China buys about 60% of all its soybeans from the US. And in fact, China's demand for soybeans and soybean products has pushed the price of US soybeans. I'm sorry, but soybeans, can we just call them SBs? Because I'm getting soybean. It's one of those words that when you say it, just soybean, it's not a big deal. But when you start to say it a lot, soybean, it starts to get a bit ridiculous, doesn't it? Soybeans. Anyway, getting back to the point at hand, this is very serious. If China does impose these tariffs on the beans made of soy, US farmers are going to suffer because China is going to say, well, wait a second, we can get soybeans cheaper from elsewhere. Places like India, huge producers. Certain places in Latin America, Argentina, Brazil, massive soybean producers. China is going to start turning to these countries rather than the US. And of course, it's not just the farmers who will suffer from this. To give you an idea of how much stuff we use that comes from China. Are you ready for this? Because this number is staggering. $462.6 billion. That is how much money we spend on Chinese goods every single year. So you can imagine what a massive toll this would have if China follows through on its threats and puts tariffs on all of those goods. It would be staggeringly bad for lots and lots of people. Now, to avert a possible trade war, China has already initiated a complaint with the World Trade Organization over the US tariffs that Donald Trump has threatened to put on there. So as of right now, the WTO has circulated the request for consultation to members last Thursday. Now, that will launch a discussion period before the complaint heads to a formal dispute settlement process. So this could be going on for a while. And back here in the US, under US law, the proposed set of tariffs against the 1,300 Chinese products that Donald Trump is threatening to put tariffs on has to now go under review, including a public notice and comment process and a hearing. That hearing is scheduled for May 15th. So it could be some months before anything really starts to happen on this, but the threat is there, and it has a lot of financial people very concerned. So my advice to you is get to Walmart this weekend and buy up everything you need, because they might cost a little bit more in the next few months, or alternatively, don't go to Walmart. There is always that option. And now in a story that I find disturbing, Donald Trump has said that until his wall between the US and Mexico border is built, he will send the military there to patrol it and protect the borders. Now, if you're like me, the only time you really think of soldiers standing at borders is when you see those documentary films of places in Africa or South American dictatorships where you have soldiers standing there with machine guns making sure that nobody comes in. It's not exactly the first thing that springs to mind when you think of the US border. You don't picture soldiers standing there with machine guns. Well, now that may be something that we see more of. In his continued attack on immigration into the US, Donald Trump said on Thursday that there was a caravan of 1,000 people coming towards the US and they would just get through and everyone would come and live here because we have pathetic border security. The interesting thing about that 1,000-person caravan is that Donald Trump tweeted about it moments after Fox and Friends talked about this 1,000-person caravan traveling towards the US. The only problem is, the stories are half true, as most things are nowadays. While it's true that there are caravans of immigrants that travel through South America, often initiated by a group called People Without Borders, and there is a caravan of round about 1,000 people, men, women and children, travelling up from South America towards the US. But the organisers of the caravan have said that, in fact, most of the people in the caravan have no intention whatsoever to make it to the US border. Most of them want to stay in Mexico, and only about 200 individuals will ultimately go to the US border where they will seek asylum. So these are not even people that are going to try and sneak into the US. This is a group of around about 200 who are going to seek asylum in the US because of political hardships in their own countries. So the story from Fox and Friends and the tweet from Donald Trump about a 1,000-person caravan coming to storm the US just isn't true. But you can guarantee that most people listening to Fox and Friends and reading Donald Trump's tweets there will say, oh my god, this is terrible, we have to do something. And that, of course, is the point of it. The point of the story on Fox News and Donald Trump's tweet was to make people scared, make them fearful of all these thousands and thousands of people trying to get into the US to steal their jobs, which we talked about last week isn't happening. Anyway, here is what the president said on this on Thursday.
And this is a caravan of a lot of people coming in this case from Honduras. If it reaches our border, our laws are so weak and so pathetic. President Obama made changes that basically created no border. It's called catch and release. You catch them, you register them, they go into our country. We can't throw them out. And in many cases, they shouldn't be here. Many cases, they shouldn't be here. And after they get whatever happens over the next 2 or 3 years, they're supposed to come back to court. Almost nobody comes back to court. They're in our country. And we can't do anything about it because the laws that were created by Democrats are so pathetic and so weak. So I've been speaking with General Mattis. We're going to be doing things militarily. Until we can have a wall and proper security, we're going to be guarding our border with the military. That's a big step. We really haven't done that before, or certainly not very much before. But we will be doing things with Mexico, and they have to do it. Otherwise, I'm not going to do the NAFTA deal.
And there is the president saying that yes, this is a big step and it's not been done before. Well, Donald, it's not been done before for a reason. Because only crazy dictators put the military on their borders. And the reason for that is simple. Because you put a bunch of young men and women with machine guns where people are coming through, at some point somebody will get an itchy trigger finger and shoot. And that will be a true disaster. Oh, and if you're Canadian and listening to this, watch out. Watch out, my friends, because it is only a few months before Donald Trump puts the National Guard at the Niagara Falls border. You mark my words, it's happening, people. You think you have it good now? Oh no, we're Canadians. We're cool. Oh, what? You watch. Don't get so cocky. And there we go, conspiracy time with James Andrews. Of course, there'll never be a military patrol on the Canadian-US border because they're not brown. And then today, the racist elf Jeff Sessions said something truly chilling. He said that the Justice Department is implementing a, I quote, zero-tolerance policy for those attempting to enter the US illegally. And the big question that we have is, what exactly is a zero-tolerance policy? Because we know that there are not enough facilities to arrest every single person crossing the border illegally and putting them in prison and then sending them back to Mexico. We don't have the infrastructure for it. Now, the Trump administration has said, but we're going to send so many border guards down there, it's not going to be funny. There's going to be 8 border guards to every illegal immigrant. It's going to be fantastic. But even with all those extra border guards, we still don't have the facilities to house everybody that's illegal that comes into the US. So again, what exactly does a zero-tolerance policy mean? It sounds like something out of a novel, doesn't it? Some sort of post-apocalyptic novel. And it's a policy that really just can't work, because there is literally no way that you can prosecute every single person coming into this country illegally. It is not feasible financially or with manpower, person power. So don't believe the hype, people. Don't believe the fear tactics that the Trump administration is trying to force down people's throats. 1,000-person caravan coming to storm the border. It's not happening. So next time you hear a story where somebody on Fox or the Trump administration says there is 10,000 immigrants coming into this country, they're just going to barge their way through the wall, don't believe it, because it's not true. It's creating this atmosphere of fear. And as we know, fear is what you control people with. So if you tell the general populace that the illegal immigrants are the ones that are causing all the problems, eventually the populace will say, my God, you're absolutely right. We have to do something about this. And then the little racist elf comes along and says, how about a zero tolerance policy? That sounds good to me. I've been doing that in my marriage for a long time. It works well. And I apologise, Mrs. Andrews, for doing the Jeff Sessions impression. I promised I would never do it, but I had to there. It was necessary. And now I want to bring back a segment we haven't done for a while, and that is the twat of the week. This week it goes to a Georgia sheriff, Mike Jolly, who has erected a new sign outside the Law Enforcement Center in Harris County, Georgia, and it simply reads, wait for it because this is amazing. Our citizens have concealed weapons. If you kill someone, we might kill you back. We have 1 jail and 356 cemeteries. Enjoy your stay. And then it's signed Sheriff Mike Jolly. This isn't the sheriff's first run-in with controversy. Back in 2015, he put a sign outside the sheriff's department which said, warning, Harris County is politically incorrect. We say Merry Christmas, God bless America, and in God we trust. We salute our troops and our flag. If this offends you, leave. Now, Sheriff Jolly was on, and no prize for guessing here, Fox and Friends this morning, where he was talking about his sign and why he thought it was so fantastic, and why he was taking a lot of heat for it. Here is what the doddering sheriff said.
Well, it's not my property. It belongs to the county, and I guess that's why I'm catching so much heat over it. But I am the custodian of it, so that gives me the authorization until I'm no longer in office, I guess, to keep it there. Just a silent majority has been silent way too long. Just things that are happening nowadays. I guess I got time to thinking about it. My staff brought that saying to me. We looked at it. We all kind of liked it, and I decided it was something that I would stick outside the office.
It's important to say that the sheriff did pay for the sign himself. Taxpayer money was not used, so there is that, I suppose. Not exactly the most friendly sign I've ever seen. And one could argue that it is, in fact, inciting violence with the "we only have one jail, but we do have 356 cemeteries," which, that's a lot of cemeteries, isn't it? But anyway, if you're trying to make summer holiday plans right now, I suggest that you do not go there this summer, particularly if you are brown or black. I suspect your welcome there would be much less friendly than mine would be. And last, but certainly not least, in a final act of kindness, Stephen Hawkins helped provide 40 homeless people with an Easter feast in his hometown of Cambridge. It was on the same day as his funeral. A donation from the Hawkins family helped to fund the charity Food Cycle's Easter lunch at a church in Cambridge. The charity tweeted that they were incredibly grateful for the generous gift that the Hawkins family had provided, and they went on to say that the donation would go on to provide hundreds of meals for older people, people with mental health issues, and the long-term unemployed, as well as the city's homeless. And the best part about this whole story for me is that Lucy Hawkins had contacted the charity and said that they would like to make the donation so while the funeral was going on, people would be sitting down and having a hot meal on Stephen. I love that. I think that is absolutely fantastic, and I think that is a beautiful note to end on. Thank you so very much for joining me in this conversation. It was a good one, as always, and we'll do it again, not next week. It's actually our spring break next week, so it's not spring break. I have some stuff to do, and I'm not going to be able to do a show. Do you want to know what I'm doing? Shall I tell you? I wasn't going to tell you, but I think I will tell you. Okay, so I am actually next Friday becoming a US citizen. Look at that. I'll be able to vote, so watch out. Watch out, Republicans. James Andrews is coming. So that's pretty exciting. So that's happening next week. So we are not going to be doing a show. I was going to try and take a recorder in there and record the ceremony and everything, but I thought I'd better wait until they give me the piece of paper saying that I am legit and in before I do anything like that. So we'll be off next week, but we will be back the week after that with a spectacular show, and it will be full of red, white and blue and star-spangled banners and all that stuff. I promise you, it'll be brilliant. Anyway, listen, take care, have a great week, and if you want to get in touch with me on Facebook, Twitter, or on the website, sothishappenshow.com, we can do that. And please don't forget to subscribe, like the podcast, and write a nice little review. That would be spectacular. So have a great couple of weeks, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.